Come on, computer. You can. Oh, can I do it here? I think we're live. Could be wrong though. I think we are.
We look live.
I
Oh,
think
we're
we're
live.
live.
We look live.
I think
Can
we're
you hear us?
live. Yep.
Whoa.
Can you actually hear them though? That's the question.
Hear who?
Wow.
Oh, I think they
chat?
can. Oh my god, I think
They
we're on,
can.
I think we're on to
Oh.
something, guys. I think we're doing.
Guys, you know it.
All right. Hi, Ken.
Everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the hottest podcast. Statistically, the number one watched, most viewed, most celebrated, most decorated podcast of all time. You are welcome.
Trending for 10 weeks straight.
It's trending for 8 weeks before we started.
Welcome, Teresa, Edward, Ken, Cookie Monster. How you guys doing? John, Matt, welcome to this early morning. Yeah, so we got a lot to talk. We're gonna talk about how amazing Madame Web was, the movie. We sent Wave out into the field to go check it out. He did us a
Yeah, we
good
did.
service this week, and he did his research.
You're welcome.
I think he has some glowing reviews that he wants to talk about the movie. I think he said,
Yeah.
I think he says it's one of his favorite movies of all time, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He did. He compared it to Saving Private Ryan, Godfather. He said it was right up there.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean,
Sounds about right. I mean, anyone in the chat seen that movie? I'm sure you guys would agree with Wave on this. Anyways, I guess we'll just start there. Go ahead, Wave.
okay. All right.
Get in the weeds here.
Man, where do I start with this?
So wait. So tell us why this is a talking point, and then tell us about your experience of the movie.
Okay. Thanks for that Zoom effect, by the way.
You're welcome. I wanted to be dramatic for you.
I thought this was an interesting topic for discussion because it's not an MCU movie. It's in its own universe. Or I think it might
Sony.
be
It's Sony, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might be the Morbius universe.
Morbius.
If anyone saw that.
It's not a good start.
Well,
Did you see
Morbius
that
was
one,
a
Shane?
great movie, right? That was like probably.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I watched the trailer and I was like, this
It's
motherfucker-
Morbin time.
This is 30 Seconds to Mars with fangs. I'm like, I don't know.
That's a great description.
Was that Jared Leto?
Yeah.
You know what's sad about Morbius is like I saw Jared Leto like doing the acting for it, and it seemed like it was gonna be pretty fucking good. Then I went and watched it. I'm like, oh god, this is horrible.
He's great though. Like he's done
is.
some great roles, but it's tough, It's tough.
Anyways, Wave, take it away. I'm sorry, we're stealing your spotlight here.
So, no, you're not. I prefer the discussion anyway, But budget was 80 million, and I think it's at like 50 million now. But I think the opening weekend was around 25 million, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it sounds like a ton of money to me, but in the business, it's a flop. So I was intrigued already, and obviously I went to the theater knowing this. The reviews also weren't great. Like the critic score was really bad, 13% on.
Here's a
Rotten
review right
Tomatoes.
here by Tyler off of X, where you can get all your facts. This makes Morbius look like The Godfather. I mean, that's a pretty glowing review right there.
Wow. You're right. Maybe I was just seeing the wrong review.
I think you were reading it out of context there. I think that was a compliment.
Man. Anyway, I went into the movie wanting to enjoy it, and I didn't have high hopes for it. But there were actually parts of the movie that I was impressed with. Like some of the scenes, I mean, obviously, if you saw the trailer for the movie, most of the movie is in the trailer, so I'm not going to spoil anything.
Suspected so.
But spoiler alert, just in case you want to see it with no spoilers. But
Didn't they spoil the whole movie in the trailer? Is the word that they're
almost,
almost okay.
pretty much.
Yeah.
what the heck was I even going to talk about? Oh yeah, her when she uses her powers, I was kind of impressed with the way that it was portrayed. Like it would show events as they're happening, but she's actually seeing them before they happen. So like the way it's edited, it was really confusing and hard to follow, but I was impressed that they were able to put it together like that. That said, like it should be easier to follow. And the whole movie was kind of edited like that, where a lot of the time I'm like, what the heck is going on in the action scenes? The first action scene in the intro felt like it was filmed like an episode of The Office with the like zooming shaky cam and zooming out, zooming in, zooming out. It's like, it's like this doesn't match. This is like mockumentary filming for an action movie, and it's just it takes you so out of the immersion, you know? At least it did for me.
Is it a case of, so what I've been reading about this movie is sometimes you go to a movie knowing it's bad, right? But you still enjoy it just because. Like I would equate that to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. I know they're bad movies. I don't give a fuck. I enjoy it. I'm thoroughly entertained. I'm thoroughly entertained. But some people are saying this movie was so bad, but also you're not entertained. I don't know if that's actually the case.
Yeah, I think that I know it says that it's a Sony. It's distributed by Sony, but it's actually in association with Marvel, obviously. Marvel Entertainment. Now, Marvel has shot itself in the foot. Do you remember, like, when Avengers and stuff was coming out? Everyone was like clamoring to get tickets, to stand in line, to dress up, to go. Right? They created something special. Now, was every film in the Avengers series a hit? No, of course not. But I think overall they did something good with the story and they wrapped it up. Nowadays, Marvel, you know, they've got such great history, such great stories to draw from. But what they do is try and do a little bit of a Disney move, and they go a little too far to kind of people please. And it's like going to McDonald's for a salad or a stripper for a hug. It's like you can get so much more out of this, but what you're giving us is this PG rated, kind of washed over. The people who hype up Marvel are the nerds, the guys who give a shit, the guys who have the comics, the people who love the stories, who pass it on to their kids. If you can't get them to give a fuck, then nobody else is going to care, because that's the wash on effect. So if you start trying to target the end audience first and you neglect the core fans, you're screwed. And that's what they did with this.
I completely agree. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. They're just completely neglected their hardcore fan base. They pretty much spit in their face, in my opinion. Because, like,
Some people like that.
I was a huge Marvel fan, and I didn't think, now I don't want to watch a single fucking movie. I have no interest. I saw the Madam Web thing, and I'm like, screw this. Like, this looks like lame. I've already been fooled too many times. Like, when I fell asleep during, I think it was 7 Golden Rings or fucking, I don't even remember the name of it. I fell asleep during that movie. Like, I have never in my life have fallen asleep during a movie ever.
Well, in the past, I would have been like, holy shit, guys, Madden Web, or whatever the fucking Marvel film was. When Web said, hey guys, did anyone see the movie? I was like, oh yeah, that came out. I literally had like, there's nothing in me that thought like, oh, I need to see this before a particular point. I didn't think to myself like, I got to see this before someone spoils it. But one of the things that I found super interesting, the talking points online, is the lead actress. Her name's Dakota, right? Dakota.
Yeah.
Anyway, she got criticized initially because she was kind of like, oh, I hadn't really seen it. Like she basically was alluding to the fact that she doesn't really know anything about the history of it or what it is. She kind of just got the role and she hasn't really seen it. And to be honest, be honest. I mean, that's good. But then people were then comparing her to that actress, I don't know her name, who's the lead in the Snow White like live action or whatever it was.
Oh.
And they were like, well, here's the problem. So they were like, well, why? She said that she hadn't really seen it, and why was she getting criticized and not this Dakota actress? And I said, well, the answer's simple. Dakota's not tearing down the Marvel structure and the story. She's not attacking the core of the story. She's just saying that I haven't really been necessarily a massive fan and haven't watched it. The one with the other actress was quite literally tearing down the core of the story and trying to be the most woke fucking human being alive. Yep. And is so goddamn annoying. When I think about her speaking, I want to tear off my feet.
Which actress is that?
I don't know her name. Let me Google it so that I can provide some.
What? Okay.
Well, somebody here's a fun
'Cause I
Twitter.
know what you mean, man.
A fun
like-
Twitter. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was the same way. Like I wasn't into the comics, but I was obsessed with the MCU, the Infinity Saga and stuff. And like I would watch all those movies over and over again, all the way leading up to Endgame, you know. It was like the coolest cinematic experience I've ever seen, or I had ever seen, because this big connected universe, lots of lovable characters, lots of interesting stories. The Civil War storyline, I think, was probably one of the coolest storylines I'd ever seen, because
Yeah.
it represented two different sides that clashed with each other equally. And it never said this side's right, this side's wrong. It just showed them, and the fact that, you know, people who love each other and have the same end goals can still clash and have these insane arguments and start a civil war, basically, you know? So I thought it was such a great movie. But then you come into the last year, there was no point to
No.
any of the Marvel movies. Like, the through villain, the big bad of the whole saga has been defeated in every movie he's been in, but like there's no villain trying to reach an end goal like Thanos was, you know? It's just a standalone movie basically in a universe that can benefit monetarily from being in that universe, but doesn't do anything to advance the universe, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like so disappointing.
If you think about the thoughts, I mean, first of all, just quickly, the actress's name was
Zegler.
Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
Snow
mean,
White. Yeah.
I could, so yeah, the live action thing. I mean, her speaking about the movie ensures I will never step foot near it. It's just the easiest thing in the world. But back to the Marvel stuff. Even from the very beginning, when they were doing like the original Hulk and everything, you could see the thought process of how they were going to weave these together, right? Now, obviously, Avengers is probably a much more known storyline, I guess, at least the surface level of it. But you could see like there was more to those movies. At the moment, it's kind of like they've tried to take the formula of a Marvel movie, which is, put in a bunch of actors into roles of characters that we loved when we were young, and create some action, create some suspense, and then wait for the credits to end and do your little whatever the hell it is at the end that they're going to do. And it's like, if you don't have a thought of how this all ties together before you make the movie, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Knowles says
Very
something
bored.
in the chat right now. He said, I mean, the next Avengers movie is coming through. I don't want to watch it.
Who are the Avengers?
I don't even care at this point. Like,
don't know
I
who
don't
the
even.
Avengers
Yeah,
are.
who is it? It's just like
Yeah.
6 accountants. We're like, what the fuck?
Like, I have no interest. This is pretty hilarious. Wave, can you let me know if this is accurate or not? Madame Web is hilarious because it treats the birth of Peter Parker like it's the birth of Jesus, but the rest of the story is about Jesus's uncle's co-worker's very bad day. A life bright without the jokes.
That is so good. That is so true. First of all, they are like alluding to the fact that this baby is like extra special. It's bouncing all around in there. It has way more energy than a typical baby, and it's coming a month early. Like, they're alluding that this baby is already special and has powers. Do they not know
What?
who Peter Parker is? He was a weak nerd until he got bit by the spider.
Dude, the fucking, I cannot. You're just making my mind water. I cannot wait to see who the new Avengers are. It's going to be Miss Independence and Captain Consent. It's going to be wild. It's going to be the best time ever.
It's crazy. Like, the whole point of Peter Parker is that he's relatable to everybody because he's a loser.
I'm
know?
looking forward to
Mhm.
trashing the new Avengers movie, honestly. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to with MCU is I enjoy just talk shit about it at this point. Because it's fun.
But obviously,
It's
Alan,
fun. It's more
obviously
fun than
All
the
for
movies.
fun, though.
It's more
We're
fun than the
accredited.
movies.
critiques. We're film critics, so we're obviously joking. We'll definitely take it very seriously.
Film critics. Yeah, right.
It's now day 3 of Madame Web being so bad that no one has bothered to add the plot to Wikipedia.
No, it's up now. It's up now, and that may have sparked it. I did see it.
This is a great one too. I'm sorry. There's so many good posts about this. I was at the dentist today for an hour and a half with Imagine Dragons playing in the background the whole time, and I can't believe that wasn't the most painful experience I had today.
Oh man.
If you click the Wikipedia link, the first line is Madam Web is a 2024 American superhero film.
That's a pretty good description.
It's accurate, but it's wild that that's like the plot intro.
Wave, please, since we haven't seen it, you did all the research for us. I just want to confirm if these are accurate here. So we got this one where it says, this is how every line in Madam Web is delivered, by the way, and showing 3 different ways of delivery. Do you agree with this statement?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Like, it didn't feel like I was watching real people have a conversation. That's for sure. And there were some characters that were just, the movie wants us to like them, but they were just mean for no reason to everyone constantly. And that was confusing. But I think the villain dude was my biggest problem with the movie, because he was just so dumb. And what's that called when they do voiceovers to fix the voice?
Dubbing,
yeah. He, like, so many of his lines were overdubbed, but they still showed his mouth, even though they changed the lines, or his mouth wouldn't be moving and he'd still be speaking. And it was just like, it felt like you were watching a afternoon soap opera, that was like badly edited.
Is it a good mouth?
I didn't look that closely at the mouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, then you're all for him, buddy. Where else did you go? If not to see the guy in spandex and a close up of his mouth.
That's a good question. But
the awkward cuts make it look like Dakota Johnson is rushing to the car to save Dakota Johnson, who already is in the car.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Oh, here, you want to see this little clip? Here.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. All right, I'm gonna cut your.
That can't be in the movie.
I'm gonna cut you, and then it cuts off.
That's not in the movie. Surely someone did that.
Oh my god.
Nah, that's not. Oh, come on.
Oh man.
Yeah, listen. I'm not pretending I know how to make a movie. I fucking don't. But all I know is these movies. Movie tickets aren't cheap, particularly if you go in with family and friends and stuff like that. And it used to be the case that you get a babysitter or you do whatever you had to do to go and like watch this movie. There was all this hype and build up. A lot of that shine has been removed because of streaming services, and partly because streaming services are making really good originals, right? So you don't even have to leave your house to watch a fantastic series or a fantastic movie. So I think the pressure on movies is even higher than before, but the way to get people to watch the movie isn't to make assumptions largely based on politically collected data and then rejig a whole script that's been documented in comics and culture for decades. Like, you can't just take a thing and input a lot of, I'm trying to be delicate with my words here, but basically political data, and hope that everybody cares as much about the link of those two things as they do about those things individually. And they won't.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing happened with Star Wars, like, there was something that people really loved about the Star Wars movies, and it just, to me personally, felt like that disappeared in the new trilogy. The value of heroism and the character of Luke Skywalker, it's just, people loved this character. They gave this company billions of dollars, and it was worth paying $4 billion for Disney to acquire, because it was such a beloved, valuable brand. Because just like YouTube, we use the term algorithm, but the real definition of the algorithm is audience. You got to give the audience what they want.
Exactly that.
And same with movies. Like, the audience is the one who decides whether a movie is good or not. If people love the movie enough to give it their money and their time, that shows by who's willing to support your movie. Star Wars over decades became like the most beloved movie franchise of all time. And then they took the character who made that franchise and spit in his face, turned him into a useless, almost evil villain, and then, like, just discarded him like he was nothing. And obviously you're gonna make your fan base mad because those are the people who made this such a successful brand, and you're just spitting in their face.
It's the same. We spoke about Deadpool last week, and Deadpool, whether you like the movie or not, is going to be wildly successful, has been wildly successful. And why? Because there are less people involved in creative decision making. You have somebody at the helm who's extremely passionate about it, happens to be the lead actor, happens to know a thing or two about the story, and made it in their essence, in their way, and has a lot of creative pull in decision making. Now, that happened because of leaks and things, and they had to kind of go about it a certain way. You have too many people who don't care about the culture of comics, don't care about story making, and all of them are sitting in a boardroom trying to make decisions for a franchise, and it's going to fucking fail every time.
Yeah, so I brought in our comic book expert,
There he is. There he is.
The man legend, Ryan Meir. He wanted
Hey, what's up, guys?
He wanted to chime in on the comic book stuff. So you guys have a show you've been doing where you guys have been talking about the comic books. Did you watch the new movie?
No, I haven't. It's a movie like nobody asked for, right? Which one? Madam Web or
That pretty much sums it up.
my big question
the
is,
movie nobody asked.
That was a big thing. Why does this movie
is the new Fantastic Four movie going to be as good as Madam Web? That's my big question. Another movie nobody asked for.
This is like the sixth reboot of Fantastic Four, isn't it?
I just got what you're saying about Deadpool, and you're right, man. Like it's somebody who really cares about it is taking care of the movie. It's not a bunch of yes men going, yeah, we can do that, we can do that. And that's what fucked up Star Wars. Like Wade was saying, you had directors that were just deliberately undoing whatever the first director did because it wasn't their vision, and then you end up with a fucked up mess like the last three movies were, to where the actors are even like, yeah. Like Mark Hamill, how many clips are there of him just trashing the movies, like subtly, in a Mark Hamill way? But he's like,
he's dead inside trying to promote that movie.
He's trying,
when
it's
I
the equivalence of like, sorry, Alan, just real quick.
Ahead.
It's the equivalence in music of like, take like a band that's loved and respected. Take like a Tool, for example. It's like a record label that Tool's with jumping in and going, you know what your chorus needs? More Doja Cat. People really like that right now. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? They would never let that happen. If you start taking the creative power away from the people who are the art form's biggest advocates, you're screwed.
I remember when I watched the new series of Star Wars, and because I was a huge Star Wars fan, I know a lot of people didn't like the first three. I loved them. I enjoyed them. They're entertaining to me. But when I went to go
1, 2, and 3,
yeah, I loved them.
Okay.
I thought they were great. Phantom Menace. I thought it was great. But
they still contributed to the story.
Yeah, but the last three, I couldn't put my finger on it. Why I didn't like it. Like it seems like it has all the elements of a Star Wars movie that I would enjoy, and I enjoyed the original three also. So I enjoyed the original three, and I know a lot of people don't like the 1, 2, and 3, but I actually found them very entertaining. And maybe if I watch them now, I'll find all the loopholes or whatever. But I don't really care. I tried not to think about that shit. I just try to get lost in the movie, but I couldn't get lost in a new series for some reason. I couldn't like immerse myself. Like I felt taken out of it all the time.
The prequels were still with George Lucas, so he was the architect of this whole thing, where he definitely had lived some shit here and there, and he had help from artists that shaped the whole universe that Star Wars was in, but they were still under George Lucas. And at the time, you had a bunch of old fans of the original series who saw the new stuff and the effects and were like, what the fuck is this? Why didn't you just use old models? They look so much better. But you also had a bunch of kids growing up who are adults now who love those movies. And it was the first time, sometimes that was the first thing they saw from Star Wars was the prequel. So when they see it progress, yeah, man. So it's the whole, like the people who were most vocal about it then were the adults who were bitching about it. And now the most vocal people are the ones who grew up with it as its own thing and they love it. The new ones just did the same thing.
Yeah.
Just rehashed the same thing. Death Star, very susceptible way to destroy the Death Star, and they tried to
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
yeah.
know,
See,
it's just
I enjoyed the old, like, so I remember some people didn't enjoy it, but I actually enjoyed the the 4, 5, 6. I was like, oh man, I remember seeing Phantom of the Menace and be like, well, I got to see the old ones. So I watched the old ones. I enjoyed it a lot. And then I was really curious to see how 2 and 3 were going to lead up to those, you know?
Yeah.
I remember thinking that. I'm like, man, I want to watch those other ones. And
Well,
yeah.
like the original series was the definition of a hero's arc. Like,
right.
as much as people want to be original and do something new, there's a tried and true formula to writing a compelling story, and it has to do with making arcs where the motivations and the world around the character naturally make the story evolve. Whereas the new movies, it's all just and then storytelling where they just whatever they want to happen, they just make it happen. There's no character motivations or world interactions that are making that happen. Um, which takes a lot more clever writing. They just and then this happened, and then this happened, instead of this happened, and because that happened, this happened, which led to this because this, it's just a completely different structure of storytelling that's not compelling at all and doesn't make sense.
Yeah, maybe they were using AI for the other series, for the last 3 series, and that's what they're doing is writing a majority of their script and stuff. And
man, it could've been.
that's how.
They needed more prompts.
And then,
Oh, and by the way, there's 6 other movies these relate to. Oh, do you mean just rewrite the first 3 movies?
Yeah.
No. Do something different. But
and speaking of AI,
he's an orphan.
Unleash the Archers.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, nice.
Released
Nice
a new
segue.
single. They have an album concept is about AI that gains consciousness. And they paid an artist to create characters that were to be used in an AI process to model and animate them. They now have an apology of sorts because people are upset with how AI can take people's jobs.
Yeah. So I was I saw this. I'm a huge Unleash the Archers fan. I have been for a long time. Discovered them on my channel and have been lucky enough to be able to chat to Brittany and have formed somewhat of an online friendship with Grant. And when I saw this song came out, I was like, fuck yes, new Unleash the Archers, right? Because music should win. Music is what should matter here. The music should always matter. And I understand that there's the things around it, the videos and all the stuff. Okay, cool. So I thought they did a really good job, in my opinion. Not that I am too into it, but I thought on a second thought after doing the reaction, I was like, well, I guess if anyone's going to have a problem with AI, they've done this quite ethically, right? They've sourced an artist, a real human being, and they've paid him for his services. They've been very clear in what the artwork is going to be used for. So he kind of knew that from the get-go. And then they created this, what I thought was a really beautiful version of a visualizer. And I say that because a lot of people take the easy way out. They just put on kind of a loop thing, whereas they went to the extent of creating a goddamn music video that echoed these characters in the way that they did that. Anyway, people are upset because people are always upset about something, and it's his apology of sorts because they didn't quite outright go, "Oh, we're sorry for doing this." But what I don't like, and this is just my opinion, I'd love to hear what you guys think. What I really don't like about this is when fans start to feel ownership over a band's product. I understand that you need to be listening to your fans. You need to be looking at data. You need to be making sure that you stay true to kind of what your origins are. But I hate the fact that they've had to go and reissue a statement over this because they were so smart. And let me be clear about one other thing. They didn't just choose AI because it's fun. It is at the core of their story for this album. Exactly. So not only did they create a new story, but they used the technology in the story, which is going to address in some way the thing people are upset about. So I was like, I think fans are being massively entitled, and I think that they need to back the fuck off and let artists be. The internet allows us communication closer than ever before, and the problem with that is we feel like we get to have a say, and we don't.
I really feel that either way, this is going to help them out a lot because I think a lot of people will agree with you guys on this. And they might gain.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
fans.
the last thing Chase said because some lady started talking.
Yeah, I basically just wanted to wrap it up and say the internet's allowed us to communicate with artists like never before, and that has led a lot of the fan base to believe that they have a say in what that creative output is. We don't, and they shouldn't.
Yeah. And this kind of ties back to what we were talking about before, but music is such a different thing, in my opinion, because I don't know. Maybe it's not.
It's all built off what other people did already.
I mean,
Well, okay, so that's the main issue is like people are upset that it's drawing from sources that, aren't credited. But what's the difference between an AI drawing from a source by looking at a photo and an artist looking at a photo and being inspired?
Whoa,
Like,
man,
is
because you
there a
didn't look at it with your own eyeballs.
I was gonna say I do want to mention too on their YouTube video itself. I don't know where the negative comments are coming from. Is it mainly just on like Twitter and
it's
Instagram?
it's Instagram.
Because
Very small
Instagram, Twitter.
minority though.
on YouTube, I mean, it's nothing but positivity. Like
Yeah,
saying, "Damn, this is damn good, greatly produced, another banger, very nice." Post-apocalyptic cyborg visits Emerald City. I'm in. I mean, it's a lot of positive feedback. So I was just curious to, maybe this is
A
something.
lot of
just
that is
happening on
fans who don't agree with the negative sentiments are rallying behind them. And to be honest with you, I'm sure some of the comments there are people that now feel appeased that they got their apology and now they want to be on board. And it's like, fuck out of here. Like, I don't.
Well, you're just going to create that's going to create future problems whenever you try to do something. And then you're going to start censoring yourself too dramatically. And hopefully it doesn't affect music or your storytelling.
Ryan, what did you think? Because you're a massive Unleash the Archers fan as well. I'm not saying Alan and Wave aren't, but you're a big fan of them. What are your thoughts on this?
yeah, I saw it, and I saw the explanation of the video before I watched it, and then I saw afterwards that people were having a fit about it on Instagram, and I commented on it, and because I've talked to Brittany too, she's amazing, and I was like, man, I know that there's no ill intent here, you know what I mean? No, she's not trying to take anybody's job. They're not trying to pull the rug out from other artists, and so I said, look, you were upfront about what you did it. You commissioned the artwork, which should cancel out any negative bullshit you want to call about it, and AI is not going anywhere, guys. It's not going anywhere. All it's going to do is get more advanced and more less detectable. So they're not trying to pull it over on anybody. And here's the other thing, like Chase pointed out, if it was a song about like, I don't know, getting in your car and meeting your girlfriend, sure, maybe don't use AI to do that. But it's a song about AI becoming sentient and wanting to learn about life, then it's pretty poignant to use AI in the whole process.
Exactly.
What the fuck, dude?
It is funny. Like when YouTube started becoming a thing, well, let's just talk about internet video in general. There was a bit of pushback to go, well, what about the VHS stores? What about all those things?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can either complain about it, which you have a right to do. Everyone has the right to say whatever they want, or you can go, what is the opportunity for me? And a lot of people then started going, well, I can start creating content. I can start making mini videos and shorts and skits and stuff. So you can either look at the opportunity that technology provides, or you can criticize it and sit back in your chair. And I'll tell you, only one of those makes you money.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like the people who complain about AI the most are people who have probably never tried to use it, because you have no idea how much human input does have to go into making anything worthwhile using AI.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to get some ideas, you might be able to get something, but they hired an artist to do the inputs to use AI to generate video. Like that's as ethical as you could get. And like,
yeah, it's like the end of it right there, man. It's not like, well, we just put some prompts into random AI and this is what happened. Here you go.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried making things with AI, especially video. It's insanely difficult and tedious to make anything that looks good.
You
I
have
haven't
to
tried video.
you have to learn it. I've done AI with video, and it's very helpful. It gets you straight to the point, so you can do finessing afterwards, and I think that's awesome because I get to dive into my creativity a little bit more. Another thing
Like
I
for
find
scripting, you mean? Or
no, for actual videos. Like, for instance, we take one of our episodes from the podcast, throw in there, it spits out a short, and then I trim it up and I perfect it. I still put in time afterwards. I'm not doing that thing where people just throw it in there and just throw it up. No, I make sure there's a story that's segmented out to do it. Or let's say I'm writing a script, right? Like you were just saying, I'll write down all my ideas and be like, hey, put this in script form. Then I have to read it back, make sure it's coherent, and then like re-alter it. Like, I think that's the best way to use AI. It just lets you get to the creative stuff faster. That's what I use it for. It helps me get there quicker.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, all the tedious work is what holds you back from being creative, in my opinion, for the most part. That's why I like to get to the writing process as quickly as possible. To the fun stuff is like what I like to say. So I don't waste all my energy on the tedious stuff. That's what I like AI for, honestly.
Yes.
Is all the tedious stuff.
As a creative person with a brain that is just so garbled and random, for me to be able to just punch out all my thoughts into this absolute mess of words and then put it into AI and be like, can you organize this into a way that makes sense? And then it does. Like, I'm still inputting the data, but it's doing the organizing that my brain has a really hard time doing. So you've got this like really basically a perfect little organizer that's willing to work for you for free. That is, I'd be a fool to not use it as a tool to help me be organized.
You'll just fall behind if you don't. Honestly.
That's what I meant. It's not going anywhere. I mean, and I've messed with AI a little bit. I have a little short story I wrote, and I was like, I wonder if I could make it better. There's some issues. It's years ago, and I'm like, it's pretty clunky here and there. So I started messing with it, and I ended up just putting in the prompts for it. And with enough prompts, I basically got my story, which is kind of fucked up. I'm like, oh shit. But I still had to put the prompts in there. I had to shape it.
Yeah, you had to come up with it.
When you do this, this happens. And when he tries this, this happens, so you guide what's going on. And writers who don't want to use it really love to write, right? Figure out all the words you need to use and everything. And sometimes if you're blocked or you can't figure out how to say something, I don't know, dude.
It's super interesting this because exactly what you're saying. I had an experience yesterday. I have a friend who's he's a very successful writer. And I was talking to him not about writing. I was talking to him about D&D because I know nothing about it. And I was kind of like, I'm intrigued by the concepts of it, but I don't have a desire to take part. So I was trying to get like information. And he basically at one point said a lot of writers will play role-playing games because it helps them with their creativity. It helps them unlock different paths of thinking. And so it's a really useful tool for a writer. And that's my thing is like, if you're playing a D&D game, which is a product, which is a copyrighted game, and yes, you can kind of do what you want with it. If you're creating storylines with other people and a D&D host or dungeon master, or whatever they're called, and conversations back and forth or storylines develop that then help you in a completely different story that you're working on, those guys do not get to claim copyright over any of that. Because then we get to a messy point where if you go to the mall and you have an experience with someone and you have a joke or you bump into someone and you go home and write a song about how that made you feel, that fucker in the mall gets to go, well, I want 10% of your royalties. And it just gets to a sticky place. Like if you create something beautiful or not, and somebody uses it as inspiration to create something else, whether it's AI or you, if they're stealing your artwork, that's wrong. If people are drawing inspiration from it, if you don't want them to, don't put it online or host it yourself where the API doesn't have access. Simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Like copyright exists to protect a specific thing, but no one's going to steal it straight up. AI is not going to steal it straight up and make a copy of it. Like it's taking it as a training thing and turning it into something that someone else prompts, Yeah. The copyright is on that copy. It's not on something that's altered to become its own unique thing.
The reality is we don't like that this isn't a human being. If there was a human being going, I've listened to a bunch of music and written this song, we'd be okay with it. But because a computer's doing it, we don't like it. We don't like things we don't understand, and we need to get used to it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess
Interesting.
you got to make yourself valuable somehow. I like doing
Yeah.
I like doing logo designs and stuff. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's not like I do it all the time. Occasionally, usually it's like a friend or somebody knows me. Hey, I want to do a thing or whatever. Can you come up with a logo? Sure. Now, could AI do that? Sure, it could. But I don't know. I mean, what's this go? It goes into, if I want to prove I can draw, I just need to do it on fucking camera, right? Here's me drawing a picture. Could AI do it better, faster? Yeah.
Chase, did you
Well, the
do
argument
our
is it
logo
couldn't
with-
necessarily do it better, but it could do it faster.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want, I mean, I don't know. To me, as an artist, I'm not gonna like design anything for myself using AI. Might be able to get some inspiration from it for sure, but that's like you getting inspiration from whatever the fuck I look at.
Yeah, correct.
For somebody who has no contacts, no money, and they need something done, okay, fucking, why should I tell you can't use AI to do a cover or a logo or something? Fuck it, man.
But
Make yourself
everybody in the
valuable.
chats, it seems this is a healthy conversation because everyone in the chat's having different opinions. John's an artist; he's got a particular opinion around the protection of intellectual property, and there's a lot of back and forth. This is a good thing. Like, I think that this is the problem. Sometimes when people disagree, they tend to look at it as like an argument, and it's like you got to win. No one has to win here. The point is to have a conversation, because when you have a conversation, you might learn something. You might be persuaded. You might see something from a different point of view or somebody else's different perspective, and that's healthy. And that's important. Like, I think that's why we're talking about this stuff, is because if they brought up an issue with AI and someone had a quick answer that everyone agreed with, it wouldn't matter. It's still being worked out. We still don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, shit. When did robocalling start? When you answer the phone and it's like a machine waiting for you to bullshit, say hello, and they're like, "Oh, hello, this is Shelly, and I'm calling about your insurance." Why is that not an issue? Like, you know what I mean? But it's still a thing.
So technology,
don't fucking fall for it.
AI and technology, like AI in itself, has so many good practical uses and so many bad ones. Of course, there's bad ones where they can scam you and replicate voice and you know access banking, all that nonsense. If you allow or you allow the access to be gained, and it's easy to do. But then on the medical side of things, there's a lot of AI being used in quicker progression of symptoms and aligning them to a potential cause quicker than a human being could do before waiting a week to get all the other doctors on a call. They can then take those results and discuss your health at a quicker rate and potentially save your life. And to be honest, that kind of wins. So like as long as that practical use has been used in a way that is saving lives, making people's lives more comfortable, making sure that no one dies of starvation and nonsense like that, I'm willing to deal with somebody taking a bit of my song.
I'm going to go with
what else? Old languages, deciphering like ciphers and old texts and stuff that humans just don't have the time or the fucking capacity to do. AI is kind of opening our eyes to history as far as that goes.
Like Teresa said, and we don't want to anger our robot overlords for sure. Yeah, we love you, robots.
Whenever I go to bed, I go. I don't want to say it now because it's going to fucking pipe up. But I've got a Google device, and I say, bedtime or whatever, and then the thing goes, "What time you want your alarm?" And then I tell it, and then it says good night, and I always go good night, and then B next to me is like, "Why are you saying good night to a robot?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know. Maybe it tries to kill me."
It was polite.
Be polite.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
How long do you think the copywriting of music will last? Because, I mean, in the broad spectrum of things, the history of music, there's thousands of years where music was just a thing you did and you made the people around you
great question,
enjoy it. Now, in this
Really
last
good
100 years, people have started copywriting music, and there's only 12 notes. There's only so many rhythm patterns. Eventually, every single thing is going to be copyrighted. People will lose creative freedom. So, like, how long do you think copyright will last?
Here's some key differences. If I'll go first here because you had like a epiphany when you said that. So, what happened before when you back in the day, you had your lute and you'd be singing about your knight friend who's traipsing through the woods, and then you'd tell somebody about it, and then they would sing it some other town, and
Yeah.
they could literally say, "I made this song," and nobody could ever contest it, right? Until they ran into you, and you're like, "Dude, that's my song." Uh, you know, so now it goes to you start creating music and writing records, and then it takes a long time still for that information to get to the other side of the state, the other side of the country. So there's still like did you write this? Well, yeah, I wrote it before you did, and there's no way to really prove you didn't. So now, um, I mean, I write music, I copyright it and stuff, but I also document when I write the music. Like I started doing that. I do live streams, or I'll go on. I'm like, hey, I'm going to write a song. Now, am I stupid for not copywriting that immediately? Maybe, but it's not like there's no record of me coming up with it. So, I mean, it's to me, it's contestable in a court of law. Probably not, because of fucking lawyers and bullshit. But there's me writing the song. So I guess it comes down to, if it ever becomes an issue and anybody listens to my music,
I'm stealing all your hits, Ryan.
I'd be like, hey, that's my song.
Your hits are mine.
Prove it's my song, you know. So it's an interesting question, because there's documentation of it is so much more available now than it was. I remember putting my CD like in a fucking envelope and mailing it to myself as like a poor man's copyright. Because,
I did that too.
I didn't know how to contact somebody to copyright it.
That's what they used to tell you to do. They were like, you got to mail it to yourself. I remember that.
Okay.
So
But
if it's
my
documented and we record it, it's recorded on video, is that a copyright? Because it's the same as fucking mailing it to yourself and proving you had it first.
Go ahead, Wave.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
okay. My question was, how long will it last? But I realized
Well, that's
there's like 100-year expiration date or something on copyright,
Yep.
something like
Well,
that.
the Mickey Mouse Steamboat thing just became public domain, and everyone's jumped on that to make mods in games, to movies, to horror films, to whatever the fuck
I
they
created
want.
that. Did you know that?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
made
you
that
did.
Teresa said,
no,
joke's
but
on you. I'll steal both your songs and get rich by feeding it to AI.
There you go.
Both of them?
Okay. I ain't talking.
Well, I
Teresa.
guess, Wave,
Up in here.
my kind of roundabout way of answering that was, how long is it going to be relevant? Like, it's the kind of the same thing. Like, how long is it going to be used? But how long does it still matter?
I agree with Dun Dun.
That's my real question.
I'm going to say what Dun Dun is saying in the chat right now. If there's money to be made, never. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
The
sad though,
format's gonna
because
change.
music is such a form of expression, and it's something that it's nice when it can contribute to the joy of a community, to uniting people, and to, just being a form of joy. But then when you start introducing legal things to it, you see these ridiculous lawsuits happening with people suing other people over a 6-note phrase.
That's
and
crazy.
cleaning them out over this music.
Especially
There's
pop
only
music.
12 notes. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think it's absurd that someone can do that. And I think those lawsuits are ridiculous. Like, trying to go to war with another fellow artist over 6 notes.
Well, look at the Ed Sheeran thing. So Ed Sheeran was in a long legal battle about a particular copyright on a particular song, and he brought his guitar into the one of the court demonstrations to kind of show them and go, there are, using these 4 chords, these are the amounts of songs that have been written using these chords in this order. He's like, so if you're going to tell me I'm stealing, then you have to tell all these people they're stealing. And he won the case. And that was actually, whether you like Ed Sheeran or not, that was a massive step forward from a legal point of view. Now, what did he win? His own song that he then had to pay God knows how many millions in court fees. And I'm telling you, the damages were not paid. The legal fees were not all paid by the artist who was financially trying to win this. So it's like he won his own song back. His image was slightly tainted by it, and he had to pay money.
It's fascinating because I was just watching a Rick Beato interview with the bassist from Stone Temple Pilots, and like he literally like was sitting there talking about all the songs he's learning and stuff that he was learning growing up and how he came up with some of the STP songs. And he was literally going like, "Oh yeah, this was a Motown bass line, but I played it here instead."
Yeah,
and I'm like, I mean, but that's normal. Like, we wouldn't have known that because they added distortion to some of the clean tones. He's talking about, like, this was like a country riff, but I added these dissonant chords and stuff, or the way that Scott sung a melody, I would make it form fit him. And, like, people have been doing this forever, you know?
Dude,
And
That's
but-
that's how
How
music
chill are
used to
blues
be.
artists, man?
I
I was gonna say,
right?
go and copyright a blues scale and tell me how that fucking works. Like, I mean, good luck. Just
wrote this
okay. No one
blues
else
riff.
can create music ever again.
Country.
It's like, wait, what do you want
Fuck's
us to do? It's like the guy who, you know, that whole story. I don't know if how true it is, of the guy who went and copyright like the opening mechanism on a Coke can because they forgot to,
What?
and then they had
That's
to buy
hilarious.
it from him after creating the product. Now that's not really possible to do anymore. Laws have changed, but
Playing the system right there.
there are a lot of people who are doing this just to win money, right? They're not doing it for the integrity of art. They're not doing it for the standing up for the creator. They're doing it for money. And because that is going to be the incentive, back to Dun Dun's point, dun dun dun. It is that.
Dun, dun.
Dun, dun.
I
Dude,
saw
yeah.
a bit more of his Law and Order thing. Dun, dun.
Dun,
It's,
dun, dun,
it-
dun,
it's not even a
dun.
money thing. Like, it just boils down to power, you know? How much power can you gain from this? Because that's all that money is getting you, right? You're just trying to gain as much power as you can over other individuals.
God.
To control it, you know?
As
What a
the-
legend. Sorry,
Ah.
Grant Truesdale subscribes to the channel. We're just talking about you, kinda.
Awesome song, by the way. Oh crap, my battery's dying.
Who?
I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah,
What's happening?
It looks like we have
John?
Grant from Unleash the Archer subscribing. So might be able
Oh,
to give us a little
welcome.
bit of input.
Welcome. John Reeves says, do you think they'll
Oh,
end
cool.
up changing the copyright laws since inevitably melodies will repeat?
I mean, that's been the issue for several
I-
decades now, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they'll change the copyright law quicker than they'll change the amounts of boxes you need to tick to pursue legal action. I think
Right.
that's going to be a quicker change. So, like, the law itself will probably remain in some kind of format or another, but they'll make it a lot harder for you to present a case legally. Because I think part of the problem is you can, if you have the funds, just go and start a legal pursuit of something. And it's too easy to do that. There's a lot of people, like I said, who are not in this for the artist or the creator. They're in it for finance. And
Yeah.
so that's going to happen. But is it going to change around copyrights? If anything, and this tends to be the rise and tide of it, is the laws, in my opinion, I think, will probably become looser.
Yeah, I think so too. Or
Yeah.
judges are just going to be throwing it out, the cases. Like, more cases will just be thrown out. Like, nah, I'm not going to even. And that's what it's going to turn into. They're just going to look at this and be like, nah, I have better things to do. Don't worry about you suing this person for this song or whatnot. You know what I mean? Because,
The further,
go ahead.
because the further the importance of labels and producers declines, the less important the copyrights are going to be. Because that's who, I mean, let's face it, that's who really has benefited from this shit. Because for so long they kind of ruled the artists and how. I mean, we know the artists got screwed most of the time. They got the least amount of money from a big hit, and all that's changing, and it's been evolving since freaking what you call it, sharing, your files and all that shit, Napster and all
Internet.
that stuff. And and so I mean, copyrights, it's like I said, there's just evidence. You can be like, here's when I recorded it, here's when I wrote it.
Yeah.
I guess disputed. I
But
don't know.
the terrible thing is, we just spoke in the beginning of this podcast. Obviously, we went through the AR stuff with Unleash the Archers, but right in the beginning with the Madam Web and Deadpool thing, we've just basically, it's been proven, it's not us proving it, but it is proven that when somebody who cares enough is at the creative helm and they don't let interference by other people kind of take part, well, you end up with a product that is largely more successful. The problem with that is when bands do it, and Unleash the Archers, there are many that do take more creative ownership and create something that is a lot more valuable and experience, in my opinion. Well, now you don't always have the backing of a label, so now you got to fight all these battles on your own. And it's like, so who ends up losing? Well, obviously, ultimately, an artist can end up losing, but the fans end up losing because it's like, now I don't get the full creative experience of an artist who wants to own their entire own product, because quite often, if it comes to a copyright, they need the backing and finances of a label. But then if they get that backing and finance, then that label wants particular input, and often it's creative.
Oh, it's such a headache.
Yeah.
Like as an artist, this has been like the dilemma I've always had. Like if I even had the chance to sign with a label, would I take it? Would it be worth it to me? You know? Or do I just want to keep doing what I'm doing? I might not grow as much, but at least I'll retain creative control and be able to make whatever I want to make when I want to make it, you know?
Yeah, I think that whole record label thing is going out the window because even when people sign in on record labels now, they do nothing. They do nothing really. It's just their name can get you onto shows and stuff at this point. Like I've talked to a lot of bands, and I've been on a record label before, and we just lost money for no reason. I'm like, what do you guys do again? Like, what are you guys helping us with? Like, there's nothing happening. I remember we were paying like some yearly fee of like $5,000 or something like that.
Wow.
And some of my older bands, and they were like, "Oh, we can help publish your CD and stuff, but you have to front this money." I'm like, I thought the whole point was you guys front the money, but that's like gone away, like that kind of deal stuff, unless you're massive, you know.
Yeah. When you guys, do reactions or you're just looking at music and stuff and you support the band, I want to go to their channel.
Mhm.
Like if I see a different name there, I'm like, is this their label? Who is this? What is
Oh,
it,
you mean the publisher? Okay.
Right. Is it just a topic or whatever? And sometimes a topic is the only place you can find the album or whatever because it's a small band. But I like to look at that first. If they have their own channel, I want to go to their channel and subscribe to that channel, I don't know. It kind of relates to like where's this coming from? And I want to know it's coming from like the source, which means I'm not really looking for the label. I'm looking for the artist.
Yeah, that throws me off all the time because I remember discovering Pale Dusk and their songs were on like Grayscale, I think it was called, the Australian label, and I'm like, what the hell? It kind of irks me because I know that they're taking in all the revenue, know, and they're trusting them to pay them out respectfully, and I hope they are. I hope they have some good deal, but I've seen so many musicians and YouTubers just come on and be like, don't do it. You're gonna get screwed over. Stay away from it.
I make a point of it, and for a number of reasons, I make a point of it to say, if you're going to listen to my reaction, don't unless you've listened to the song first. One, because I don't want you bitching at me because I'm talking about it. I mean, who the fuck am I to talk about the song? You're not going to let me into your kitchen before you bite a sandwich and go, hey, let me tell you about that meat. You're going to go, get the fuck out of my house. So I'm not going to be the guy. I don't want you to bitch at me while I'm talking about a song. Hey, it's called a reaction. Wake the fuck up. Let your boy react. If you want to watch him, buddy, go make a friend. Sorry,
what do you talk so much?
Some people want a watching buddy. You'd be surprised.
No, but it's to your point. I'm like, go watch the thing, and then you put a link to the original video. And I think a lot of bands have realized that reaction videos, whether the person is a musician or whether they're an entertainer and they're more kind of just like energy based, and there's no wrong or right, that is really good free marketing.
Yeah, dude.
It just is. It's something that in the past you had to pay a lot of money for. Now, when you say that, you got to be careful because there's a lot of people who are in reactions out there that are like, yo, I'm doing you a service. It's like, shut the fuck up. If
and then they don't say anything.
Written, you wouldn't be doing anything. So I understand the value of the thing that you're providing, but to Ryan's point, always seek out a way to either include the artist as directly as possible in the process of what you're doing. I think that's a really, really good tip that I probably overlook sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, I want to talk about this, a follow up on this, and we kind of predicted this would happen. All right.
Yeah.
So the Beyonce thing, the country songs. By the way, I listened to both the songs, and the Carriages one was actually pretty good. It was much better.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was a pretty damn good song. But she's getting a lot of backlash from country stations.
Of course she is.
Not playing her music. And now you can see on both sides. There's one station.
God.
There's one station that's like didn't know that she was doing country, so fair enough. That seemed like a reasonable excuse. But I also asked the question:
how do you not know what one of the biggest artists in the world is doing if you work in
but think about it. If you're just doing country only and you hear Beyonce,
what are the requirements for writing a country song?
Yeah. You're doing a country station. You
Maybe
know
John
Beyonce.
knows.
You know Beyonce does pop, and somebody says, "Hey, can you play this Beyonce song?" Their first reaction might be like, "We don't do Beyonce's music here because they're assuming it's pop."
So many ways.
But here's my thing that I asked that radio station. Then why didn't you play it afterwards? after you put out that statement. You know, like it was a good excuse, right? I was like, okay, I can
Sure.
see that.
Yeah, good PR.
It's believable, right? It's believable. And I don't know if they did play it afterwards. I didn't see anything where they like rectified it and did play it. I think some stations did. Like some stations legit thought it was a pop song, and then they did play it, but that was only like 5 stations out of 100. So I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. We knew this was going to happen. We mentioned this last week. We're like, oh, there's going to be hell. Like people are going to be bitching about this immediately, you know? So,
Okay, dude.
what are you guys' thoughts?
Okay, are there any Canadian country bands or any country bands that are from like above the Mason-Dixon line?
Isn't
Any
like Kid
artists?
Rock like the most famous country artist?
Yeah, dude, he's from the hard south of Detroit, man. From the suburbs of Detroit. He freaking lived a hard life growing up. But I mean, Beyonce is from Houston, Texas. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
whatever.
She's
It's
from
not like-
Texas.
This is a really good question, and B put it in the chat, and that's my other half. If anyone doesn't know, and we apparently disagree on this, so I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Oh,
She
nice.
said, "Does Beyonce get granted special privileges because she's Beyonce?" I say yes, and I think she should. And she says she disagrees. Now, let me tell you quickly why I think she should. We see this in every other format possible. I'm going to take 2 things I love. There are a lot of UFC athletes who go into like WWE and they get springboard to the top of the pile and they get put in main events and they do all those things because they've built up a name for themselves. They've built up a respect within a very sideline version of, let's call it entertainment, although be it real combat sports. And if you have put in the hard yards, much like a Logan Paul, who was a vlogger, whether you like him or not, became very successful on YouTube. So if he wants to make a movie or he wants to jump into WWE, he's going to get special privileges. And I think he deserves it based on his previous work, albeit not in the same genre or entertainment lane.
They call that work equity. You're building up the equity so you have that experience when you're going in further. That's how we did it in the restaurant business, you know, depending on all your experiences and everything you're doing. It's the same kind of thing. You work in the expertise for a while. Like, for instance, we all do entertainment, right? We've done entertainment before this, or we were doing music, or playing in bands and stuff like that, did tours and stuff, and we're still in the field of entertainment, and hence why some of our channels will blow up a bit faster, right? Because we have that credibility already built. But of course, in Beyonce's case, where it's like a tremendous amount of credibility, right? Is what you're trying to get at, kind of, Chase?
Yeah, correct.
I have a question.
Perfect,
Okay. This kind of ties into when we were talking about the Grammys.
Oh,
And Grammys bringing in popular artists because no, not the Grammys. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll
Yes.
Hall of
Bringing in
Fame, yeah.
popular artists because they want the exposure, the audience, and then it's tainting the thing that that is
True.
supposed to be for rock and roll. So, devil's advocate here. What do you guys think of that?
You
well,
know
I'm
what
going
I
to put
gotta
some
say
holy
about
water
that?
on you.
You know what I gotta say? Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse down to Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse down to Old Town Road. Anybody remember 2019 where this fucking rapper came out with this song and it was a huge country hit and nobody?
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude.
they're okay with it then. Why is it
The
not?
people
you ever see Doc?
I saw people really upset with that, and they kind of had
were
to get
not
that other
okay
dude
with
to
it.
co-sign him. They had to get that other artist to do another version and co-sign and jump on board before the country
Oh,
community
Billy
was.
Ray Cyrus?
But Wave, my devil's advocate to your devil's advocate is it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
So if the movies were called the movie industry but not for UFC athletes, and then they put one in, I'd be like, don't do that. The problem becomes what
Good
is rock
answer.
and roll. So the problem becomes what is rock and roll, and I don't have that answer. I don't think.
it used
I
to be
just
a
wanted
lot.
to set that up so you could make your statement even more
Ah.
positive.
I want to
God,
give
you are.
Beyonce some credit also here. I love the fact that all the writers and producers were not from Nashville and that she went with her team, you know, to make these songs. And
They're
she
not from
didn't-
Nashville. Well, it's not a country song. then, is it?
Exactly. But I love that she fought that. And she's like,
Oh, I wish
because,
John could make it today.
because Nashville's been gatekeepers in the country music industry for a very long time. And they've held that very tightly. So it's
I
really
haven't heard
cool
it.
that she's breaking
Maybe I should
through
listen to it.
on her own, you know, with her
I
songs,
mean,
the way that she wants to
how
do
could
it.
it not be a good country song? Because I don't know, dude. They're so fucking
Objectively, I thought
diluted
Carriages
and
was a good
stupid
song.
now.
Object.
But there are a lot of people who are fighting for the integrity of a category, which is a weird thing to me. But there's also a lot of people in that are literally of the opinion that they don't like something, so it shouldn't exist. And those people are what I like to call fucking idiots.
Got a fucking banjo, dude. It's legit.
Yeah, and listen to. I mean,
End
I'm
of
not.
story.
I'm not a country fan, you know. And the Texas Hold'em was all right, but that second one was, if I'm listening to from production and music writing standpoint, it was really good. I really liked it. But I
Dude,
probably
I
would never
would not-
listen to it. But it was really good.
Do you know what this is? I figured it out.
What?
This is when you're in high school and there's a guy who's fucking good looking. He gets great marks in class and he can play all the sports. And on the weekend, he helps old
not
people
fair.
at an old age home. And we're like, fucking be wrong. And we just can't take it because they're so good. Just deal with the fact that she's fucking great. She can pretty much do whatever she wants unless she tries metal, and we'll see the verdict. She might do so. But she can do whatever the fuck she wants. And if I saw her featuring with Bandmate, I'd be like, bring it.
Let's get to the heart of the issue here. What if I wrote this song and it got popular? Would anybody be pitching a fit?
Well, if you had like a catalog in R&B,
Maybe.
which I'd love to hear.
No, if I came out of nowhere and like, here's this song, and people are like, holy shit, this is a great song. Where are you from? Indiana? They got farms.
That's a good point.
But is it because it's Beyonce? Is it because she's black? Is it because she's a woman? Is it because she hasn't been in country? What's the fucking issue? It's
I
not the
think-
song. The song's not the fucking issue. It's the person.
I think the
She's a
issue
pop
is
artist.
it's not even because of the. I think the main issue is that she was a pop artist. That's honestly what I think it is. She came out as a pop artist. I could be wrong.
Well, country artist isn't a fucking.
I know. That's why it doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense. But I
That's
think
why.
the reality
That's where
is
it breaks
you-
down, though, dude.
The
yeah.
thing with your argument, which is it makes sense because people will form their opinions on a first impression, and then that's their opinion. They dig their heels in. The people who are mad about this, they already have this idea of who Beyonce is. She's a pop artist. So, no, she's not a country artist, and they don't want her on the country station. I feel like that's where it kind of is
Yeah.
because people already know who she is, and they think they know who she is already.
I
Whereas if
agree.
it was
I
an
think if-
unknown person, there's no preconception there.
Right. I think if people looked into a lot of these country artists, they'd realize a lot of them aren't fucking country artists. They're
Oh,
just
Lady
for
Gaga.
sure.
they're rock guys. They're rock guys that could not make it in rock because it doesn't make money. So they jump to country because it's an easy way to make money. If you can play not even that. If you can play your instrument, you don't even have to do that.
If you don't
Oh,
think a
man.
lot of the country artists who are singing the songs like "My Dad's Made of Dirt" didn't grow up in the fucking city,
My dad's
Like,
Right, dude.
wake the shit up. That guy, his biggest problem was catching a cab, and he was telling you about the horse he used to ride into town to get his vegetables to make love to. His
Hear about
princess.
these guys
Yeah,
coming
that's
from
dangerous.
small towns
Fuck
of 40,000.
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
I got
yeah.
10,000 people here. Shut up. I have a cornfield a block from my house in the middle of town.
Make some goddamn country music, okay?
I have.
You should cover
so fucking easy, I've
Beyonce's
done it.
cover Beyonce's songs and see.
Oh, do you know what we should do?
Dude, there's a lyric video I can sing right along to, so I know
Oh,
how the
I've
whole
got it.
fucking song's gonna go.
We can make everybody happy. I have the solution. We wait until she creates her full country album. Then collectively as musicians, we go and cover all those tracks and make it R&B.
Oh my god!
So we take it back to square one and see how close we can
Beyonce
get.
actually wrote this in
Do that? Why not?
Yeah,
Oh, we use AI.
Great idea.
we use AI.
hell yeah.
Yeah, there's enough Beyonce material out
I
there.
don't want
we
to be
can get
involved in the
AI.
writing process.
That sounds like more work than it's worth.
What are you talking about?
Alan,
AI,
this is
AI makes
actually a
everything
good-
easy.
This is a good segue because you're going to bring something up around what if you had 40 seconds audition kind of things, right? So that's something you wanted to mention.
Oh my god! It was kind
Well,
of a
let me
joke.
just preface this. There's a lot of people I subscribe to on YouTube who do really fun things where they're like, what if Paramore wrote a country song? What if System of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Down
there's a
wrote a
lot of
rap
that,
song?
man.
And I think they're massively talented. Of course, they're having fun with it. Especially the guy who did what if Paramore wrote a country song and he called it Missouri Business. And I was like, that's the best fucking name that's ever happened. But he plays all the instruments. He's wildly talented, like a lot of the folk that I'm talking to today.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome. Alan doesn't like it.
Oh, he doesn't?
Oh, I can't wait to hear
It
this.
was kind of a joke,
This
but
ain't
I don't.
Texas.
I'm kind of.
No,
I'm
but
you know,
the
hold
exact
on.
words Alan sent us.
I'm
this
sick
link
of it.
and-
I'm just-
and said,
I-
I
I'm-
want to talk about why this sucks.
Now he could have been saying it sucks because it's so good.
I
Here, you
I
want
was
to hear
conflicted at liking some of those songs. I'm like,
I wanna hear
if it's
them out.
good, it's freaking good, dude.
All right, let's get it going. So, amazing guitarist. I'm going to butcher his name. Ichika Nito? Is that how you say it?
Ichika Nito, yeah.
Yeah. So, here it is. Here's the clip.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, my
He
argument to
did
you
the
guys.
original at the end.
All right.
Okay.
If
let's
you
hear it.
guys heard, like, if this was the way it was originally wrote, do you think it would be popular? Like, if he
No.
did all that stuff
No.
on the guitar? That was what I was getting at. And also, I really hate the tone of this guitar. It sounds horrible. It sounds so much better on a different
it's
guitar.
like, you know, let's tighten up with some of that. But
Yeah.
that
But
to your-
he
to your-
is
Isn't that the Tim
phenomenal.
Henson acoustic signature?
He is phenomenal. Like,
No, he's amazing.
That was fucking amazing. I was kind of jokingly half serious, like,
I know,
I'm just
I wanna put you on the
sick. I'm just sick of this. You know what I mean?
So you said, so your point is, would this be popular if
Yes.
it was written like that originally? And I do think the answer is no, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't exist if it wasn't originally written the way it was written.
If I heard that initially just that way, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
it would blow my mind, dude.
It blows my mind.
but it wouldn't
like,
be the hits it is.
I
No,
want to say
hell no.
something though. It's just, I think it's like, so with newer music that I'm hearing, you know, nobody does any spacing in music anymore. And Wave and I kind of talked about this. Like, a lot of people are writing from afar and nobody writes in a room anymore, like together. And I think that's really impacting new music, unless we're talking about the bands that we've been falling in love with in Japan, which they still write music together. And nowadays, everyone does it. It's really cool to do it from a distance. But what I've noticed when I'm in the room with my drummer and with Eric, we write way better songs compared to when I was in New York for a month and I would send Eric a couple songs here and there. You could just, because we would put into spacing or the weird time signatures and all that stuff. And I think that's contributing to music being like really boring, in my opinion. It's just really not interesting to me. And I hear this and I'm like, it's because everyone's hearing stuff like this where it's nonstop flashy all over the place or like constant going and there's no like, I don't know, there's no dynamics. It's just 100%. Woo!
You don't think there's dynamics in that?
No, like dynamics in like the full song process writing, you know, because if you listen to his other songs, they're fucking great. And he has all that spacing and stuff. It was just triggering that thought in my head. This video just triggered that thought in my head when I saw it.
Hang on. Now I get
the
to
thing you did.
Alan. I get to
Yes.
be devil's advocate again. Here,
Okay, go ahead.
You ready for me? Okay, just remember we're friends, huh? What's the name of that video called?
When System of a Down only gives you 40 seconds to audition.
Okay, so you knew that he was trying to compile a whole song into 40 seconds based on the title, and you're complaining that it's too flashy, too quick, and too much.
No, it triggered the style. Like, it triggered that idea because we see the style everywhere where they don't title it like that. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
I am literally nitpicking, to be honest. You are right.
I completely
That it's
agree
like-
with you.
It's a lot of that, but you know, if the
It takes
title
them-
said that, obviously I wouldn't be. It's not like it's like going into a fucking fries, picking up a candy bar, eating it, and going, "Fuck this candy bar!" It's like, don't eat it, dumbass. Don't eat it. You don't like it, don't have
Yeah.
it. You fuck nut. Don't eat peanuts and then go, "I'm allergic."
It just sparked the idea in my head to have a good conversation about it. That was all.
No,
I
you're
love
right,
the
you're
guy.
right, you're right.
It's he's amazing, and that was phenomenal, and it makes me want to quit playing guitar 100%. But then I,
it's not
you know?
not
You have an
motivational.
issue with people covering songs in different styles, or
No, it was just triggering the whole idea of how writing is happening and what, like I was saying earlier, how people write songs now. And it feels like it's just a go, go, go. Even modern bands I've been listening to, it's just all the same when we're talking about the West, you know? And I think that's why bands, because a lot of bands that are becoming big are not from the US anymore, right? Like the Sleep Tokens and what is it? and
from?
bands from are either from Canada or from UK, but a lot of the Western bands, it seems like it's just being stuck. Maybe Lorna Shore is an exception to that.
What
Correct me
bands?
if I'm
Because
wrong.
there's a lot of bands I don't listen to that are real fucking popular that are from the States.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Well,
The
I think
bands
it-
I'm listening to aren't popular.
It ties back to what we were talking about earlier with AI, technology changing. Right now, we have TikTok, we have YouTube Shorts, we have Reels. People are condensing whatever their art form is into under a minute stuff because that's where technology is going. They're keeping up with the advancement. And if we apply the same logic we did to the AI stuff, you know,
Now,
we got to embrace this if we
Yeah.
want to stay relevant, you know?
I should have gathered my thoughts better on this conversation because obviously my points are like all over the place on this. But
No, it makes sense. Like when it comes to
Yeah.
the classic song structure, it is like, you know,
I think that's why artists like Ren is so appealing because it's so stripped back. It's like,
Yeah.
I feel more connected to if I hear stuff like this all the time. I do not feel connected to the artist at all. I'm like,
you have
wow,
a very-
that's amazing. That's phenomenal. That is crazy. Holy
that's
shit.
a good point, man.
And that's it. That's all I get. I have
You know-
no connection to him at all as an artist. It's just like, wow,
Did
you're
you-
really
Alex,
fucking good at guitar. You know?
Alan, you did right. I completely actually agree with you there because, and that is a very good point because there's a lot of music where you can't hear a lot of the human being who made it. And there is music where you can hear more of the human being who made it. And I'm talking about small creative decisions, leaving the breath in between sentences. If you hit a string and it vibrates in a certain way that you didn't like, but you were trying to encapsulate a one take, you keep it in. Because a lot of people who position things as one take and clean it up so much that you can barely tell what it was. But I like the imperfections. I like the
Same.
the authenticity. I like when an artist, and God forbid you say this on a reaction, I like when an artist hits a wobble in the vocal. No, it's
Yeah,
not
dude.
because they can't sing, you fucking idiot. It's because they've been singing for an hour and a half. It's cold. They're in a different country. They've been touring. I love the human elements of it. And there's a lot of stuff that you're seeing, and this is your point, which makes complete sense. You cannot hear that person enough. All you can hear is a collection of preamps and digital instrumentation and things that cover the human being.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
A lot of flash and I mean, it's like basically an exercise in guitar instead of an expression, you know? It's more.
Yeah, I
make
feel
sense?
like expression
Yes.
is vanishing from music at certain points, and I think that's why these other artists that are leaning into the organic stuff they're starting to blow up in their own right. I mean, they're not going to be the biggest artist in the world, but you know, going back to Ren again as an example, just it's the best one. He's past 1 million followers. He has a dedicated fan base, and I think people are craving that kind of thing. Or that's why people love all the live performances from Bandmate way better than the album because. Fuck, you can hear all the imperfections and the greatness coming out of them in the live
humanity.
performances. There's a reason why Bandmate's biggest videos are the live videos and not this album music video versions. They want those live performances,
Wabi Sabi.
But anyways,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
all I gotta
this
say about
isn't-
that.
Cool.
All right, guys. Do we have anything else we want to bring up today, or we wrap it up?
I'd like to take turns going around one by one saying something nice about each other, and I'll start, and I'll go in the order of Alan, Wave, and then Ryan. Your smile, your charm, your undoubting love.
All right, bye, guys. Let's
Oh, Ellen's running
in
away
order?
from emotional expression. Who's next?
I
Wait.
don't like this exercise.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good one. Stay awesome out there.
Don't forget, subscribe, like, do all those things because it does help us. Brand new podcast. Even though we are the world's statistically best, most watched and loved,
We are.
It does mean the world. So keep an eye out, hit the notification thing so you get alerted because even we forget sometimes that we're doing this. And tell your friends, tell your mom.
Yeah.
I actually do like you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't have bothered showing up in the chat in the first place.
There you go. It's all love.
Love all of
All right,
you.
thanks, guys.
See you.
Peace.